Hey, hi. It's Paul, one half of your dynamic podcast duo. I know you weren't expecting to hear me. You expected to push the button and hear the weird British guy tell you that our podcast wasn't for kids. But I have something to say. Listen, me and Jake have been talking, and we wanted to do something very special for you guys on Halloween. Halloween this year falls on a Wednesday. We normally release episodes on a Thursday. So we decided to give you 2 episodes. The next episode of the podcast, it'll be a special Halloween-themed episode. It will be available on Halloween. And then the next day, on the Thursday, you're also going to get a bonus episode. So 2 episodes, Halloween week. Try to contain yourself. I can feel the excitement from here. And I'm in the past, because this is pre-recorded. All right, listen, I'm going to let you get to the episode. Don't trick or treat at Jake's house. You don't want to know where that candy's been. All right, Philip, hit the theme song. Philip's our producer. That's a lie. We can't afford a producer. I do it, actually.
The following podcast is for mature listeners. Although looked at in a light-hearted manner, some content may be graphic and gruesome. Also, due to the host's complete lack of maturity, those easily offended will probably be offended. Hold on to your butts.
Rocks. I'm ready to go.
That's some gentleman shit. What kind of bourbon is it?
Knob Creek.
That's the good stuff too. Look at you, big money.
Yeah, just rolling around in all this currency.
All this podcast money, man.
Yeah.
People don't know. We're fighting off the women with sticks, and we're just sitting on these fat stacks of cash.
Fighting off the women with dicks. Our own dicks.
Yes, right. Our podcast dicks.
The old podcast dick.
All right, Jake, sometime in the late 1940s.
World War II.
Yes, World War II.
Jews are getting gassed.
World War II was raging. Jews were being gassed. It wasn't necessarily offending the person we're talking about today that much. The Jew thing. Allegedly. We'll get there. Late 1940s, there was a man sitting on a park bench in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. Right?
All right. Just hanging out in the park.
He goes to Griffith Park, this beautiful park, with his 2 daughters. He's looking around, and he's watching the merry-go-round, right? And he gets struck with an idea.
I'm going to rape some kids.
No. Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope,
was I close?
Nope.
Was I close?
Kids are involved.
Yeah, here we go.
He has an idea, Jake, that will, without a doubt, change the world. Okay?
Okay.
This man begins to dream of a place where children and adults can have equal fun.
Is this Disney World? Disneyland?
After a lot of careful planning, the man decides to purchase 160 acres of orange groves and walnut trees in Anaheim, California. And in 1955, this guy turns his dream into Disneyland.
Yeah, called it!
The man was Walt Disney.
Child toucher extraordinaire.
Hated the Jews. Loving life in the 40s.
Just grabbing all the kid butt it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet.
This is all alleged. Alleged.
Air quotes. A lot of air quotes here.
So it goes without saying, I think, that his idea that popped in his head while at Griffith Park was a bit of a success, wouldn't you say?
Did they mention that he was doing a lot of whippets at the time?
No. Was he
just staring at a merry-go-round? And was like, you know what?
What?
He was just staring at a merry-go-round.
Okay, all right.
And he was like, I'm going to shove a bunch of people in random rodent costumes and have them hang out with kids all day.
Yes, the American dream.
Absolutely.
So, Jake, the funny thing about Disneyland, and we're going to be talking specifically about Disneyland today.
Disneyland, not
yes,
as opposed
not
to
World.
Disney, not World. Okay.
The thing about Disneyland is that it's so fun and so magical that some people never want to leave, Jake, even after they die.
Whoa.
Jake, these are the ghosts of Disney.
Whoa, really?
All right. Yeah, we're gonna do an episode based on the ghosts of Disneyland.
Real spoopy ghosts.
Yeah, I figured, Halloween's around the corner. We gotta get some paranormal up in the mix. We've been doing a lot of true crime, a lot of Chris Benoit. It was real gritty.
Whoa.
We're gonna turn to the paranormal leading up to Halloween. So the first thing that I want to talk about at Disneyland, it's one of the more popular stories, and it actually involves Walt himself.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
So Walt Disney had a private apartment built for him and his family whenever they decided to stay at the park, right?
Okay.
And it's actually located, it's still there today, it's located over the fire station on Main Street in the Magic Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
So if you pass by this old fire station and you look up above it, there's a window, and the window has a light on. And the light is always on. Okay?
Okay.
Walt Disney passed away in 1966. And after he died, his apartment above the firehouse was still maintained and cleaned daily, even though it was left vacant. Nobody was allowed to stay there. So they just they wanted to keep up on it.
Okay.
So the story is that one night after the park had closed, one of the Disney employees headed up to the room to tidy up a bit. And when they got up there, they realized that whoever done it the night before had left the light on, the light in the window. So she turns the light off after she finishes cleaning. She heads back downstairs to Main Street. Then she happens to glance back up at the room and notices that the light is on again. Now, she swears that she turned the light off. I mean, it even stood out to her when she was up there that, the light was on. Mm-hmm. I have to turn it off. So she goes back upstairs, Jake. She turns the light off again. Goes back down.
Ooh, don't turn the light off, bitch. Ooh, I own this place. Ooh.
She looks back up, and the light's on again for the third time. This time she's sure it's off because she went back up specifically to turn it off.
Yeah.
So, wait a second. Hold on. No, that was the second time. Now the light is on. She's downstairs looking up at it like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
She goes up again, shuts it off again. And this time she doesn't even have time to leave the room before the light turns itself back on.
Is she actually, is she making sure the switch goes all the way down? Because I know there's some light switches that stick.
Some old lights?
Yeah, some old fixtures and stuff like that. Or,
I don't know. I didn't have time to tinker around after this happened.
That's a good word. Is she or is there, a ghost in the room?
Well, she claims that after being turned off for the third time, when it came back on while she was still in the room.
Yeah.
That, a faint whisper swept through the air.
Get out of here, bitch.
And she heard someone say, "I'm still here, love."
Ooh.
Yeah. So, since then, nobody's ever turned the light off again. It remains on as a tribute to Walt Disney at all times.
So, here's a quick question, because I don't really know. So, Walt Disney passed in 66, he said.
Yes.
Now, what happened? Did he have... he had family, correct? Or no?
Yeah, he had family. He had kids.
Now,
and
did they just up and roll out? Or they're just like, I'm going to collect daddy's cash and I'm going to get the fuck out of here?
I don't think... If you're... are you asking, do they have anything to do with the Disney Corporation?
Well, I'm saying, did they ever frequent the apartment that they had above the fire station is kind of what I'm asking.
No, apparently it was left vacant after he died. I think what had happened, I think this was the initial apartment that he had built for himself. I think as time went on and they opened the resorts and shit, I think that he kind of stepped up his game and had fancier places to stay.
Oh, so this was more of a workspace / apartment than just a fancy, luxury condo type thing.
This is the initial spot, right after the park opened.
So you could look out over people and crank one out as he sees all those family chock full of ripe kids.
So he can look out like a magical dictator.
Yeah, emphasis
viewing
on
his
dick.
Viewing his peasants.
Look down upon thee and spit upon me.
Look at my castle. Look what I've done.
Look what I built for you, you pieces of shite.
Cast members say that still to this day, you can hear strange knocking and shuffling coming from the apartment above when you're in the firehouse. And no one ever stays there.
That's probably a homeless person that's just like rolling around in there.
Now, I'll tell you what. It would take, if you were a homeless person and you could manage to sneak your way into Disneyland, and hide out somewhere, I mean, you're living the life then.
Oh, yeah. You gotta,
Yeah.
That's like an espionage, like, homeless person. It's like some CSI shit.
Yes.
Like just sliding in under the radar. But
You think? I mean, if you're a homeless person, right? I think the technique would be to put your dues in. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do in the homeless community. Stand on your corner, hold your sign. Get enough money to buy one ticket to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then once you're in, all bets are off. Because if you're homeless, you're wily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you're in,
yeah, like it's like, because I mean, now don't get me wrong, like Disney runs a tight ship. I've been there a couple times, and they're like to the T. Like they got cameras and all types of shit going on. But I mean, yeah, it's just like
they're no match for the homeless.
No match for the people who have nothing left to lose.
Because here's the thing: nobody. First of all, if you're a cast member, you don't want to fuck with that apartment. You've heard this story. If I've heard this story, they've heard this story.
You don't know what's going on in there. You don't know how many butts have been touched. But then second,
homeless people can flatten themselves out and just pop through a seam in the wall.
This is accurate. This is an accurate truth about homeless people.
That's either homeless people or cats. I can't remember which.
I'm going to go with both. Homeless people also, much like monkeys, have the ability to drop feces and throw it at you at a high rate of speed at the drop of a dime.
Oh, dude! Like if you get hit with a homeless person's turd, right? You're going to be like that. You're going to be like that fucking bird that Randy Johnson exploded. You know what I mean? You're just going to burst into a cloud of dust.
But yeah, homeless people have nothing left to lose because you're already homeless. Like what else? Like what else can you take from them? So they're like, they're in it to win it once they're in there.
Yeah, all bets are off.
So continue. I'm sorry.
No inhibitions. I'm on the homeless people now. Oh, I was also going to say, if you were a squirrel, right? Like if you die and come back as a squirrel,
I'm gonna be like that squirrel from Ice Age.
That's the place to go. Is Disney?
Oh, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you go to Disney World if you're a fucking squirrel?
Yeah, because there's all those like dumb little kids dropping candy and food all the time.
Right, and you can be right out in the open. Like nobody's stomping squirrels or throwing rocks at squirrels in Disneyland.
No, because the cast members that work there are the nicest people ever. So they'll just be like, "Oh, shoo, little squirrel." Squirrel's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker! I'm trying to get fed."
You might end up a mascot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I might fuck around and be Chip and my friend Dale.
All right, let's talk about Space Mountain, Jake.
Ooh, longest ride or oldest ride, longest line, baby girl.
Who wants to ride Space Mountain? Woo! All right, listen. So Space Mountain, if you go to Space Mountain in Disneyland, you want to be on the lookout for Mr. One Way. That's the nickname he's been given by people at the park. Ooh. Mr. One Way is described as a red-faced man with red hair.
Whoa.
Mr. One Way may be related to you.
Might actually be me.
You are you Mr. One Way?
I could be.
Mr. One Way has a popular podcast called The Depths.
Ooh.
And he will stand in line and chat with the other guests, right?
Okay.
And then it's said, though, like, when he's talking to the other guests, it's usually a dead giveaway that he's not from, like, our time. Like, he's got, like, a weird dialect. He's got that old-timey, like, 1940s speak. You know what I mean?
Man, talking pictures killed the radio, see? We're going to get on Space Mountain today, boys.
Right, exactly. So it says he'll always ride next to a single rider. I don't know if you know this. When you go to Disney World, Space Mountain, the cars are actually like, it's almost like a bobsled. It's like a single seat, like one person in front of the other. But in Disneyland, Space Mountain, you sit next to somebody.
Really?
Yeah. It's like a little 2x2 seats.
Fuck that, man, because I've done the one in Disney World, and I almost soiled myself.
Did you?
Yeah.
I love it. I love
it,
Jake.
It's a great ride, but it's in the dark. It's very spooky.
It is very spooky. So, in Disneyland, like I said, if you are by yourself, you can get in the single rider line, and they'll just kind of pair you up with somebody else so they don't waste seats. So, Mr. One Way always gets in the single rider line. He'll sit next to a stranger, and then when the cart comes back out of the darkness, he's gone. Yeah, that's the theory.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Where do you stand, Jake? Where do you stand on these ghost stories? Are you skeptical?
Well, so we've talked about ghosts in a couple episodes, and to some degree, I do believe in ghosts. Like now, as far as like ghosts in Disneyland, I mean, for the people that have been to Disneyland, Disney World, you're like, I don't know how you could ever be in a not a great mood. But right. I don't know. I feel like if I'm going in Space Mountain, which, whoever's been on Space Mountain, it's a little, it's a thrill ride is what we'll call it. If I have a ghost sitting next to me, I'm trying to get me like a ghost handy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there you go.
Give myself a little ghost job.
So you can get Mr. One Way to go a little both ways on it.
That's what I'm saying. Mr. One Way about to go Mr. Two Ways.
All right. I see what you're saying. So, listen, I do think that there's a chance that this, it's just like aliens or anything. Like, you can't prove that it doesn't exist.
So, I do know, because I know someone that works in Disney World. Now, what I've been told is that on the Haunted Mansion ride, if you've ever been on it, it's just like like you're in a car and you kind of just go through a big mansion, real spooky stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I've done it. Actually, I saw it when I did it. I saw a ghost at the end. I was coming out, and there's a part where your cart turns towards these mirrors, and there was a fucking ghost in the car with me, Jake.
It's an optical illusion, buddy. Everybody sees that same ghost.
Huh?
Yeah, everybody sees that exact same ghost when the mirrors pop up. Right over your head, buddy.
That's a relief, man. I've been living with that for a long time. I didn't want people to think I was crazy.
Well, if you know the mythos about the Haunted Mansion, about the wife who murdered her husband's blah 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 blah. Well, there's some spooky cats out there that will take ashes of their lovers and dump them at the top of the Haunted Mansion ride, and they have to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna get to that a little bit.
Did I steal your thunder? I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, listen, dude, no, you can have some thunder too sometimes.
I got some real thunder for you.
It doesn't all have to be dick jokes, you know what I mean?
It's in my britches, you know what I'm saying? There we go, back to the dick jokes.
All right, so there's another ghost associated with Space Mountain. Apparently, it's home to a spirit cast members referred to as Disco Debbie. I'm assuming she probably died in the 70s. She appears as a glowing green orb and can be seen in the darkness during the ride. It's believed that she's the spirit of a cast member that died of a brain aneurysm behind the building. I think we're going to get to it later, like the people that have actually died in Disneyland. The numbers are a little skewed. I've heard some things. I've heard that Disney actually has a thing worked out with like paramedics and local medical staff that they will never pronounce people dead in the park. That they will, like, even if they show up and somebody's just like, oh yeah, they're fucking dead, they'll put them in the ambulance, drive them to a hospital, and pronounce them dead at the hospital, just so Disney can kind of...
They'll put them in an ambulance, take them outside of the park, drop them out on the curb, and be like, oh, this motherfucker's dead.
Dead. We got another one.
Call the coroner. This motherfucker is dead.
Right. Yeah.
I did watch somebody have a seizure while I was in Disney, and that was terrifying as it is. But
I'd imagine seeing someone have a seizure is terrifying anywhere.
They're pretty quick. They come in, throw them in a knapsack and get them out of there pretty quickly. They will burlap sack them. Yeah.
Nothing to see here, boys.
Keep it moving along there, guys.
Jake, have you ever heard of Dolly's Dip?
Is this like Dippin' Dots? Because
no.
Man, I could really fuck with some Dippin' Dots right now. Anyhow, no, I have not heard of Dolly's Dip.
I'll tell you what, Dippin' Dots, they hit the spot. There's actually the Walmart by your old house has a Dippin' Dots machine.
Are you kidding me? The only place I knew I could get Dippin' Dots was at Dutch Wonderland. And if you've ever been to Dutch Wonderland, don't ever go back because it's the worst place ever.
I remember we used to go when we were kids. We'd make like a family trip to Dutch Wonderland all the time, like me.
Your
and all
family
my cousins.
hated you if you went to Dutch Wonderland.
Well, me and my cousins are all within like a year or two of each other, so we were all kind of like that age at the same time. So when we were younger, it'd be like a yearly thing. Like all our parents would get together and take us to Dutch Wonderland. And then when my cousin got his license, we were like, you know what we should do? We should go to fucking Dutch Wonderland. It's been so long. That place was so tight. But this is when, he was 16, I was 15.
Yeah.
So we get to Dutch Wonderland, and if you don't know what Dutch Wonderland is, it's for like 7 to 9 year olds. Like that's the age range. Very disappointing. Yeah, I think we stayed for maybe 20 minutes, and then we're like, all right, listen, it's time to roll.
Yo, man, let's go hit Shady Maple or something. Let's get out of here.
Let's go get ourselves a shoe fly pie.
Oh God, they're gross.
Yeah, they're not great. Okay, Dolly's Dip.
Dolly's Dip.
The Matterhorn ride inside Disneyland, right? It has 2 consecutive bobsleds running at the same time. There's one called the Tomorrowland sled and one called the Fantasyland sled. I guess they just gave them names they can tell them apart when they're referencing them. At one point in the ride, the Tomorrowland sled goes down a dip in order for the Fantasyland sled to have enough clearance to pass over top of it. Is this making sense? So at any time on this ride, there's 2 different sleds going.
I mean, I'm no, civil engineer, but I think I'm grasping the concept here.
Okay. So in 1984, a 48-year-old woman named Dolly Young was riding the Matterhorn alone in the back seat of a sled. A young child was riding alone in front of her. At one point during the ride, it's believed that Dolly unfastened her safety belt in order to lean forward and assist the young child. While trying to help the young child, the Matterhorn sled passed over the dip that allows the other sled to go over top. Being that she wasn't completely seated in her chair, when the Fantasyland sled passed over her head, Dolly was struck and knocked out of her ride.
I was really hoping you were going to say decapitated her.
Well, she gets knocked out of the ride, and then the next sled comes shortly afterwards and runs over her body.
Oh, fuck yeah! Man, that's awful.
The tracks had to be completely dismantled to remove her body, and the dip, ever since then, has been referred to as Dolly's Dip.
She's all mashed up in there.
Yeah, she was.
That is
and it's
gross.
said that now Dolly haunts the Matterhorn ride.
She's like Smokey the Bear, though. She's like, always keep your seatbelts fastened. Don't be an asshole like me.
They have an animated video of her getting her head knocked off. It's
like, this is what can happen if you're a dumbass, kids. That kid in front of her was perfectly fine, probably, and she was just like, ooh, what are you doing there? Like, smack, you're dead, bitch.
Yeah, man, that's got to be a tough way to go. You're just enjoying the Matterhorn.
Well, she got 2-pieced, man. She got hit in the head, so she's like, oh, I'm so woozy. And then she's fucking...
Right. Oh, man. I can't even imagine by a roller coaster sled. So every night after the park closes, it's routine that 2 cast members have to walk the Matterhorn track, one on either side. They do it to look for any kind of like lost items or debris that's been dropped.
Any debris, yes.
Yes. Cast members commonly report that it feels as if they're being watched when they do this. But let me just say, too, like, Disneyland has a certain vibe. Like, when you're at Disneyland, you're not really scared of much. Maybe when you're on a Haunted Mansion ride, but it's a pretty upbeat, like, jolly place.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, you're in a great mood. Like, that's why it's coined the phrase, it's like the happiest place on earth.
Right.
So it's like everywhere you're going, there's music, there's characters, there's like all this fun, happy stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting like a ghost hand job on Space Mountain. Then it's like really fucking cool.
Then it's really magical. But I will say, like, last time we went, they do this magic hours thing if you stay in the park. Did you do that?
Yeah.
So the magic hours, you get to, after the park closes, if you're staying on resort in Disneyland or Disney World, you get to go to a certain park from like, what is it, like midnight till 2 a.m.?
Something like, some parks will do, some parks that close at like 9 will stay open from like 9 to 11. They give you like an extra 2 hours or something like that.
Right. Well, we did it in Magic Kingdom, and I'm pretty sure it was from midnight till 2. And like only the people that stay in the resorts are allowed to go. So it's fucking empty. I mean, it's like a ghost town. No pun intended. And I will say, when we went last time, it was a little chillier than you would expect it to be in Disney. We were in Disney World.
Oh, because I always thought in Orlando it was set to the surface of the fucking sun.
Usually,
it's
right.
So fucking hot.
But at 1 a.m, sometimes it cools off a little bit. And dude, we did Splash Mountain because it's a little bit chilly. It's the middle of the night, so there's already nobody in the park.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get wet when it's a little chilly out. So we had the ride to ourselves, and we did it like 3 or 4 times in a row. Like it was to the point where we would come back, and they'd be like, "You want to go again?" And we'd be like, "Yeah." And they'd be like, "All right, just stay in the thing." And we'd go again.
We're gonna do that.
And dude, it is creepy. Like when you're in those rides and there's no one else around, it's like you and maybe 2 cast members who are running it. I can see where it's really fucking creepy.
So when I was just down there about a month ago, they had everything set up for Halloween, and if you go in there during like their like quote unquote Halloween hours, like it's like a Halloween party, they do different stuff for their rides. Like they'll turn the lights out on a lot of rides. Like Space Mountain, they were playing like straight up like 80s metal in the dark.
That's awesome.
And like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, there's like no lights on at all. And they're like, they really kind of like try to like make it a little bit scarier. Although like all the rides in Disney are, nothing's like too awful, you know what I mean?
No, especially in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom's like the tamest of all the rides because, you know, that's where they want to take the most amount of children and stuff like that. But I always tell myself that if a kid can do it, I can do it. Because
that's a good way to look at things.
I'm awful at heights.
Is that why? Is that what you told yourself when you tried Coke for the first time?
Oh yeah, I was like,
if kids can do it, I can do it, man.
I can do it. And next thing you know, I'm doing it off a stripper's ass. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it spirals, man. It spirals out of control pretty quickly. We'll find you help. We'll find a good place for you. Okay, cast members commonly report that it feels like they're being watched. I already read this part. They said that this feeling is always the most intense inside the big cavern where Dolly was killed. And it's also been reported that the work lights that are closest to Dolly's dip burn out at an alarming rate, much faster than the rest. So, I don't know, man. Maybe Dolly's in there like, how the fuck do I get off this ride?
Hey, man, and maybe she just wouldn't have been
fucking around.
A fucking moron signs, and left her goddamn seatbelt on. She'd have been fine.
Yeah. I mean, read the signs, you know.
God, that's got to be... could you imagine? That has got to be... Like, if I'm a ghost, and, you know, and I'm doing ghostly things... Mm-hmm. If I'm stuck haunting a certain part of a roller coaster ride at a family-friendly...
What would ghostly things include? Would that be like...
Making spooky sounds.
Booing and
ooh, like moving a door when no one touched it.
Flicking light switches. Okay.
Like, you know, normal paranormal things. And if I'm stuck haunting I'm going to say a 35-foot area of a roller coaster in a family-friendly park, that's a real shit job.
It really is. I mean, those poor cast members, they're the only ones that she sees, so you know she's just taking it all out on them. Yeah. They got to meet their quota, ghosts, you know? They can't just fuck around.
Can you graduate? Like, is there a way to, like, if you're a ghost and you have you have a shitty job at haunting people, like I'm the ghost of the DMV, like ooh, like is there any way you can like graduate to like being like a ghost of an actual house? Like is there
I'm pretty sure it's all seniority based. I think it's
okay. So
there's a union.
You have to wait till you have to pay ghost union dues,
right?
And you have to wait for another ghost to retire in order for you to take over their spot. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do we got after Dolly's dip?
Let's talk
now that we got off track.
Let's talk about America Sings. Okay,
this is America Sings. Got Talent.
Well, all right. So America Sings, if you don't know what it is, it's this big round rotating building in Tomorrowland. It used to be called the Carousel of Progress.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And what it was is it showcased Walt Disney's predictions of what the future products of America would look like. Right?
Yes.
So, I think it was originally he debuted at like the World's Fair when they used to have World's Fairs. You know what I mean? Like, it was like this big thing that then they moved to Disneyland. So, it kind of got outdated after a while. Like, I think I went, not the last time I went to Disney World, but the time before that, it was still there, and we did it. And, like, the most futuristic it got looked like a fucking 1980s sitcom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, now we're in the future, and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? So, although the Carousel of Progress is still running in Florida's Disney World, I gotta keep this straight. So it's still running in Disney World. The Disneyland version was shut down in the early 70s and reopened as America Sings, which is a showcase highlighting the musical history of the first 200 years of America.
Oh, God. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great. 2 weeks after the attraction opened, a new ride operator, 18-year-old Deborah Stone, was killed when she was crushed between the walls of the moving audience section and the
That's what
stationary
I'm talking
stage.
about. Fuck yeah.
So, yeah, like the way this thing works is the stage doesn't move. The stage is stationary. And then the entire building rotates around the stage. So the stage is like, I don't know, it's cut into like maybe 6 sections. And as the building rotates, like you see the first section, then your seat and the whole building spin, and then you see the next section, and it goes around and around. Well, this chick got stuck between the wall and the stationary stage and just got mushed.
She probably got tired of manning that awful ride and said, fuck it, I'm tired of listening to this, and just offed herself by crushing herself to death. I tell you what, though, I would have loved to have been in the audience during that day. Oh my God!
Man. Yeah, right. I didn't expect this.
Oh, this is fucking awesome. Disneyland fucking rules!
Since that day, cast members working the ride have reported a small, wispy voice instructing them to be careful. The same building is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a boy who died while trying to jump from one car to the next on the People Mover. He didn't make it. He came up a little bit short and was dragged along the track before the ride came to a stop.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't fucking get. Just stay in your seat.
That's it.
Wear your seatbelt. Don't be a fucking idiot, and you won't die.
What are you doing? Why are you jumping from one car to the next?
What type of drugs are you on? Like,
I don't know.
What are you just that fucking stupid? Could you imagine being that kid's parent and being like, you know, Tommy, you probably shouldn't jump into this car. My God.
I would have just like hid my face and looked away, like somebody's kid. Somebody's kid.
You're not my fucking kid. You're not my kid. You're obviously your father's son, because you're not my son. You fucking asshole.
While he spends most of his time haunting the America Sings building, he actually has been reported to make his way all the way across Tomorrowland. He's seen all throughout it. It's even thought that he really prefers blondes, because they say that this little ghost has a knack for tugging on women with blonde hair.
Tugging on his ghost
tugging on his wiener anytime a blonde-haired woman walks by. His little ghost wiener.
Coincidentally enough, I have the same problem, so there you go, kid.
Yeah, tug your little ghost wiener.
Oh my God, my little ghost wiener.
All right, let's see here. What's next? It's a Small World. I really don't have to say anything other than that, because this ride's fucking terrifying if you've ever been on it.
Oh my God, could you? I've been on that ride one time, and that was probably the scariest ride, because those little animatronic people that are just staring into your soul with their dead robot eyes.
Yes,
it is without a doubt fucking creepy.
Again, this is Walt Disney. Just look at the future. Look what the future holds. Look at these little marionettes. And today you're like, what the fuck is that? Like, today we have Tupac back from the dead in holographic form. Nobody wants to see these little fucking monsters.
What I don't get is how come they don't blink? They don't blink. They don't have eyelids. They're just like, hey, I'm staring into your soul. I'm going to murder you while you're sleeping.
So, just the general state of the ride makes this story a little bit hard to believe. But there is a rumor that goes around that several cast members who worked on the ride It's a Small World loved the ride so much, bullshit, that they came back to reside there after they died. The legend is that the lights will turn on and off, and that the dolls will keep dancing and singing after hours once the electricity has been turned off. And they believe that there's ghost cast members who worked here,
like living inside the dolls,
just coming back and like turning the electric back on.
Let me tell you something, man.
If you worked on that ride
and loved it that much, you are fucked up in the head.
Anybody that worked on that ride for more than an hour and wasn't like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Fuck it. What are you paying me? $7 an hour? Fuck this.
That place is straight up nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
I'd rather get touched by Walt Disney while he's wearing a Mickey Mouse costume than being there longer than an hour.
You wouldn't be the first.
Probably the last. Probably won't be the last either.
Well, welcome to the Mickey Mouse Club, Jake.
Oh, MICKEY MOUSE.
Construction on the Haunted Mansion began in 1963, and the story goes that one of the first guests to test the ride was so scared that she died of a heart attack inside the mansion. Her death, legend has it, led to the closing of construction until 1969. That's some real shit. Like, it's really weird. I think it ended up being more of like a dispute backstage, but like they started construction in 1963, and then for a long period of time, everything kind of just got put on halt, and then it restarted again in 1969. Legend is that, you know, the ghosts, the woman that tested it died of a heart attack, but if it was a heart attack, it wasn't because the Haunted Mansion was scary.
No, because the Haunted Mansion isn't scary.
No. Well, I mean, unless it was really fucking scary, and they were like, what are we doing? This is Disney World. We can't do this.
Yeah, it's true. And then they had to, like, you know, dumb it down a little bit. Scale it back. Yeah.
We killed Denise, dude. Denise is dead.
I would have been the guy like, she's a bitch.
Yeah, I fucking hated Denise. That's why we sent her in first. All right, so there's several ghosts that haunt the Haunted Mansion, right? I have a whole section here about when I went through and it turned and I saw the ghost in the thing, but we're not going to talk about that because you said it's normal. The first ghost story happened when the mansion was still being built back in the 1960s.
Paul, did you really think there were actual ghosts in those mirrors?
No, it's a joke. It's all a joke.
Thank God it's not real.
One of the sound designers, right, back in the 1960s, one of the sound designers was in the seance room and heard music coming from behind a wall. He thought that it was a radio, but there was never any talking or commercials. It was just music. He kept hearing the music for days and days on end. Finally, he decided to just put a speaker near the spot where the music was coming from to mask it. And I guess maybe the music's still playing to this day. I don't know what that's about.
I don't either.
Kind of makes sense, though. Like, if you're building a place and it's like, this place, where the fuck is this music coming from? If you just put a speaker, then everybody's like, oh, it's coming from that speaker.
I was going to say, because, yeah, they didn't have Bluetooth speakers back then.
No, not in the 60s. No, I don't think they had those till
coming off my
early
rotary
70s,
iPhone.
You know?
Yeah, my rotary iPhone.
Yeah. There's also a story about a woman who came to the Haunted Mansion to sprinkle her young son's ashes on the ride since it was his dying wish. He wanted to become one of the Haunted Mansion's ghosts. That's actually that's what you were saying is correct, and that's actually the theory behind it. Is these people think if their ashes are scattered there, they'll get to become a ghost in the Haunted Mansion.
Newsflash, idiot! You don't.
No, you're going to be the ghost of
you're going to be that
shitty house you lived in Detroit. You know?
Yeah, you're ashes. That's all you are.
Right.
You might as well be like Earl. You might as well be Earl Grey tea. Fucking, you're nothing.
You're just going to get vacuumed up and dumped in a fucking landfill somewhere in South Florida. She was told that she couldn't spread the ashes there, but apparently she snuck them back and scattered the son's ashes anyway. After that, people reported seeing the ghost of a small boy crying near the exit. So,
here's my thing. Could you imagine being in one of the cars behind this woman, and then she like, yeah, I would fucking freak. I would have socked that woman right in the nose. Be like, how dare you?
See what you're doing up there, bitch.
Yeah. I don't give a shit if your son's dead. Don't be spreading them shits in my fucking lips.
Let's see. What do we got? The rumor is that Disneyland is such a popular destination for people who want to drop their ashy remains.
Who want to die? No.
That the cast members actually have a protocol to deal with the situation. There's actually, when you get trained as a cast member to work on the Haunted Mansion, there's, protocol if somebody shows up with ashes.
That's part of the onboarding process. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it happens that often. So, yeah, you were correct. That's a big deal.
They have to get hazmat involved and shit like that because it's a fucking burn up person. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
What if he died of fucking tuberculosis or?
Whoa, we know about that now. We know about tuberculosis.
That's a callback. Jake, you want to hear a fun fact?
Hit me with it.
It is a fact that when the Pirates of the Caribbean ride opened, 3 of the skeletons used in the decorations were real.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Walt felt that the fakes at the time were too hokey and wouldn't fool anyone, so the skeletons were actually donated by the UCLA Medical Center. That would be fucking cool if your bones were part of a ride.
I would totally do that.
Dusty ass coffin.
Yeah.
When technology finally caught up to Disney's expectations, the real skeletons were replaced with prosthetics, but there is one real skull that remains inside the ride. It is located on the headboard in the captain's quarters. So if you don't know, Pirates of the Caribbean ride, you're on a little boat and you're going through and there's a pirate scene going on. You know what I mean? Shit's happening.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, right. It's the ride that the movies were based on.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're... This is only in California, but if you're on the ride and you look in the captain's quarters, there's a skull on the headboard, and it is a real human skull.
That's pretty cool.
Supposedly, there is a boy ghost who is seen on the video monitors. He can be seen in the control tower. He always seems to be happy and enjoying himself, but when the boat comes back to the station, the boat is empty. So he's seen on the ride on the surveillance camera going through the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. But when the boat comes back, man, it's empty.
A lot of kids being involved in these rides. I wonder...
Yeah, man. Kids love Disneyland.
Do they?
You don't believe me?
No, I believe you. It's just... I wonder if... Do you think Walt Disney ever killed somebody?
Oh, yeah. Everybody was killing everybody back then. There were no forensics. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted.
You think he was just like, hey, man, you want to see some cool shit? And it was like, let's go on this It's a Small World ride. And then, drown some kids.
Walt, what are you doing, Walt?
Yeah.
Walt?
Why are you putting that...
Is that
a potato sack over my head? Why are you clubbing me in the back of the head?
It's a small world after all.
Oh, God. Could you imagine that's the last thing you hear as you're getting bludgeoned to death? That's awful
by
way.
Walt Disney?
Yeah. As he's probably pounding you in the ass.
Yeah.
It's
what?
That is, what? That is an awful way to go out.
Let's see. The Woman in White. There is a ghost dressed in 19th century gowns who's been spotted on Main Street after dark. Legend has it that she guides lost children to the baby daycare center in Disneyland where they can be reunited with their parents. So this is kind of this is a good ghost. This is a very charitable ghost.
Okay.
That's a little quick one. Here's one.
There's a quick one.
The Brother in the River.
This has got a lot of racial this has got a lot of racial around it.
Oh,
yo, it's a brother in the river.
You know he can't swim.
Oh, fuck.
Jake, why'd you say that, idiot? You can't say that.
I'm the idiot. You're the one that said it.
In June of 1973, allegedly, this is all speculation. In June of 1973. 2 brothers stayed on Tom Sawyer's Island after the park closed. They were probably homeless. I mean, this is something a homeless person would do.
Oh, man, this is bad.
You know what I mean?
This is going down a dark path.
They tried to escape by swimming across the rivers of America. The older brother drowned. Cast members have seen a ghost rippling in the water since then. They weren't black. So, Jake...
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Jake insinuated all that.
You did. That was all you.
What did I say? I said brother. He was a brother. There were two brothers, and one of the brothers couldn't swim. And I said, okay. you know that brother can't swim.
Yeah, there we go. All right, way to cover your tracks.
I said, what tracks? Speaking of tracks, let's talk about the monorail.
Oh, what a great segue.
That was a wonderful segue. In 1966, a 19-year-old man tried to break into Disneyland by climbing a 20-foot fence and crossing over the monorail tracks. Jake, I actually have a news clipping from the Press Telegram of Long Beach, California.
Look at you doing your due diligence.
How about that? The date was June 18th, 1966. All right, here we go. Quote, the Disneyland monorail train Friday night slammed into and killed a 19-year-old youth who had climbed 20 feet to a trestle in an apparent effort to gain free entrance into the Anaheim amusement park.
See, again, what are you doing? Just pay for a GD ticket and walk in the goddamn gate.
Right. The homeless people know. The homeless people are out there on their grind trying to get the money to get into the park so that they can live forever. New life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Disneyland is the seedy underbelly of Walt Disney or Disneyland.
Disneyland is the 1700s America for homeless people. They're going there to find a new life. All right, back to the story. Thomas Guy Cleveland of Northridge was crushed between the train and the protective plastic canopy, which extends on either side of the monorail trestles beneath the track. Investigating officers say that the boy had scaled two chain link fences, one 6 feet high and the other 16 feet high, to gain access to the track at a point where it crosses the employee parking lot. A Disneyland spokeswoman said, the accident occurred at 9:25 p.m. when the monorail was grinding towards the Tomorrowland stop at 25 miles an hour. Operator of the monorail, Dallas Baker, told police he didn't see the youth on the track before the accident. He was unaware of anything unusual until he felt a bump, and the train stopped because of loss of power. 3 security officers, Theodore John Thomas, Paul L. Williams, and Earl Bruce Noren, saw the youth on the trestle just before he was struck, Anaheim police say. Williams shouted a warning to the youth, get down, and he appeared to crouch down on the canopy.
Yeah.
He said he then watched in horror as 4 train cars struck the youth and dragged him under the carriage. The police say all 4 cars passed over the victim. Investigators said that the boy's body was badly mutilated in the mishap.
You don't say.
The mishap.
It's small mishap. No big deal. They only turned his body into mashed potatoes. It's totally
a mishap. Fine. Yeah, it was tough. They were going to try to do the ambulance thing and get him out of the park before they pronounced him dead, but pieces were all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
In the track, in the train.
Oh, it's like breaking ribs apart. Just debris and barbecue sauce everywhere.
Person debris.
Now I want ribs.
It is said that the ghost of the teenager can still be seen at night running alongside the monorail train. The monorail train. Waving. Hello?
Oh, no, I'm listening to you. It's just...
No, I'm saying that's what he's saying when he waves to the monorail.
I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing. We're going to talk right now about the actual deaths that have occurred at Disney. And really the message that most people will be able to take away from this is just don't be a fucking moron.
Yeah.
If you think, I could probably die on this ride, then just do what the fuck you're supposed to do on that ride.
Yeah.
And if you think... I probably won't die on this ride. Just also do what you're supposed to do because
there are clear
you're going to die if you fuck around.
Yeah. There are clear instructions on every single ride that you get on multiple times where it's like, hey, if you got high blood pressure, if you're a fat piece of shit and you don't think you can handle this ride, maybe you shouldn't get on it, you fat piece of shit. Yeah, if you're fat and pregnant, maybe you shouldn't get on this ride. Don't jump out of the fucking car.
If you don't want to end up like Dolly. Do you think Dolly wanted a fucking dip named after her?
No.
Nobody wants a dip named after him.
Unless it's like a delicious cream cheese based, like it's got like a bunch of like ground. It's like really. Oh man,
like an artichoke spinach dip,
or like I was thinking more like a John Wayne dip where it's like chili and cream cheese and cheddar. You know, you never heard of John Wayne dip?
No. What?
I'm sorry.
Did John Wayne die on a ride at Disneyland?
No, he didn't. But he's got a dip named after him. God damn it! And it's delicious.
No, I've never even heard of that.
Eat it with Fritos.
All right, I'm in now. I mean, you got me at Fritos.
Yeah, ground beef, like chili,
Hold
cream
on.
cheese, cheddar cheese.
Do we have an intro for Cooking with Jake?
Yeah. First you have, welcome to Cooking with Jake. Take your pants off. No.
Here's today's special guest, Armin Mavis.
Ooh,
another callback.
All the callbacks. But yeah, you just like heat that shit up and eat it. You scoop it out with Fritos, man. It's delicious.
All right, I'm in. Count me in.
But yeah, moral of the story is, don't act like a fucking idiot when you're going to any type of amusement park, and guess what? You won't die.
Yeah. Listen,
Can't afford to get in. If you can't afford to get in, guess what? Don't jump over the fucking fence and try to hop onto something, because guess what? You'll probably fucking die.
Most of the rules that are in place at amusement parks, they're there because other people learn the hard way. Other people have ended up as stories on a fucking ghost podcast. That's how you learn. You know what I mean?
Yo, if you don't know, now you know.
Let's talk actual deaths at Disney. This is provided by Snopes.
Snopes.
I know what it's called. All right. May 1964, Mark Maples, a 15-year-old Long Beach, California resident, was killed when he tried to stand up on the Matterhorn bobsled. We know what happens there. Maples foolishly unbuckled his seatbelt and attempted to stand up as their bobsled neared the peak of the mountain. Maples lost his balance and was thrown from the sled to the track below, fracturing his skull and ribs and causing internal injuries. He died 3 days later. So that's two for the Matterhorn. I mean,
Matterhorn just racking him up. They probably
here.
drug him out, threw him on the curb, and like, get this motherfucker out of here.
Yep, dead. June 1966, we just talked about this guy. Thomas Guy Cleveland, a 19-year-old from Northridge, California. He
Monorail
was killed,
guy.
Yep, when he attempted to sneak into Disneyland along the monorail track. This wasn't in the part that I wrote. The oncoming train struck him, killed him, and dragged his body for 30 to 40 feet along the track. Yeah, that's rough.
That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of blood and guts clean up.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, this is, by the way, this is all of the people that have been killed in Disneyland. So let's take a tally here. First guy stands up on the fucking Matterhorn.
Dead.
Second guy jumps a fence and climbs on the monorail track.
Double dead.
Don't do that.
Nope.
This is just for people that like, I don't want to go ride that roller coaster. I'm afraid I'll die. You won't, unless you're an idiot. August 1967, Ricky Lee Yama. Let me preface the last thing. You won't die on a roller coaster unless you go like Six Flags. Six Flags, it's a Wild West. I mean, people die there all the time.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Ricky Lee Yama, a 17-year-old from Hawthorne, California, was killed when he disregarded safety instructions.
Shocker.
Exited the People Mover car as he was riding through a passage in a tunnel. Yama slipped as he was jumping from car to car and was crushed beneath the wheels of the oncoming car. So this was the kid that we talked about earlier that haunts the, what's it called? Singing Innovation Sings or whatever.
Wheel of Progress. America Sings.
Yeah, America Sings. All right, that was in 1967. June 1973, Bogdan Delarue, an 18-year-old Brooklyn resident.
How is that guy going to have that name and come from Brooklyn? That guy sounds like he's from like France or Romania.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
This is your boy. This is the brother. Drowned while trying to swim across the rivers of America.
You can't swim good.
Delarue and his 10-year-old brother managed to stay on Tom Sawyer Island past dusk when the park closed. They did this by climbing a fence that separated the island from the burning settlers' cabin. I don't know. I've never been to Disneyland. When they decided to leave the island a few hours later, they chose to swim across the river rather than call attention to themselves. Because the younger brother did not know how to swim, Delarue tried to carry him on his back as he swam to shore. Delarue went down about halfway across the river. The younger boy remained afloat by dog paddling, so he did know how to swim, little fuck, until the ride operators hauled him aboard a boat.
Bitch.
He just didn't want to do it. The other kid, the one that died's body was not located by searchers until the next morning. Again, not following the rules. This is a Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory situation. You got to do what you got to do, or you end up.
Don't drink the fizzy lifting drink. You know what I mean? If you tell you don't do something Don't fall
in the fucking chocolate river.
Oh, I would fall in that river too, man.
That was you. That was you.
I literally am the physical embodiment of Augustus Gloop.
June 1980. We're getting a little closer here. Gerardo Gonzalez.
These names are just solid gold.
A recent San Diego high school graduate, was killed on the People Mover in an accident much like that of the befallen Ricky Lee Yama 13 years earlier. Gonzalez, in the early morning hours of a grad night celebration, was climbing from car to car on the People Mover as it entered the super speed tunnel adjacent to the former America Sings building. Gonzalez stumbled, fell into the track, where an oncoming train of cars crushed him beneath its wheels. His body was dragged a few hundred feet before being stopped by a ride operator.
Oh, man, that's fucking awful. A few hundred feet. Not like 30, 40 feet like my man at the monorail.
A few hundred.
A few hundred feet, man. You are nothing. You are literally, you're pudding. You are pudding at that point.
You are human pudding.
But you know what, man? Serves him right.
Dude, listen, you can't fuck around on the People Mover. It's been proven time and time again.
You just can't fuck around. You just can't fuck around.
June 1983, Philip Strawhan, an 18-year-old Albuquerque, New Mexico resident, also drowned in the rivers of America in yet another grad night incident. Strawhan and his friends, celebrating both their graduations and Strawhan's 18th birthday, had been drinking quite heavily that evening. They snuck into a cast members only area along the river and untied an inflatable rubber maintenance motorboat, deciding to take it for a joyride around the river. Unable to adequately control the boat, they struck a rock near Tom Sawyer's Island, and Strawhan was thrown into the water. His friends traveled back to shore to seek help, but Strawhan had already drowned long before his body. Strawhan drowned long before his body was finally discovered hours later. So his friends just kind of bounced. They were like, "Listen, we gotta go get somebody else. I'm not getting in that water."
Yeah, man. I'm finna get laid. Fuck this non-swimming ass little asshole.
How deep are the rivers of America?
They can't be that motherfucking deep. I'm saying like 8 feet tops. Uh-oh.
I'm checking it out.
Computing. Get that good dial-up internet.
Oh, it's 12 feet deep.
Man, still though.
I mean, yeah, right? Like, how wide is it? It's not that wide.
I mean, and isn't there also a track in it for like when the boat goes through?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think so. It's got to be pretty deep though, because it does. That is what those like big, like those big paddle boats.
Yeah.
Like the Louisiana looking New Orleans paddle boats. That's what they ride through too. So yeah, he was fucking around. He died. January 1984. Dolly Young, a 48-year-old from Fremont, California. She earned her dip. This is Dolly that we talked about earlier. December 1988. No, 1998. In a tragic Christmas Eve accident, one Disneyland cast member and 2 guests were injured, one fatally, when a rope used to secure the sailing ship Columbia as it docked to the River of America tore loose from the metal cleat that it was attached to. The cleat sailed through the air and struck the heads of 2 guests while they were waiting to board the ship. Okay, so this is one of the few incidents where they were not at fault. They were just waiting to board the ship. Luann Dawson of Washington and his wife Liu Thuy Voying.
Huey, Louie, and Dewey.
Huey, Louie Voying. I believe it's an Asian couple, just based on the name.
Way to make an assumption. They're obviously Polish people. How dare you?
Yeah. Lieu, Lieu, Thuy, Vuong. If that's a Polish person, and not a Polish Asian person.
Polasian.
Then you can go fuck yourself. Dawson was declared brain dead 2 days later and died when his life support system was disconnected. So this guy was just waiting to get on the boat. He gets struck in the head with a metal cleat, and that's curtains.
Like an actual football cleat? Somebody threw a football cleat at him?
Yep. That's what they tie the boat to, is football cleats. This accident resulted in the first guest death in Disneyland's history that was not attributable to any negligence on the part of the guest. It promptly it prompted a movement for greater government oversight of the theme park operations and safety procedures. So all these fucking people die, and now this one, because a cleat came loose, now they get the feds involved.
Of course, yeah. When somebody does something on their own, right? We'll let that slide.
Right.
But the moment it's not their fault, then they care.
Right, exactly. One last one here. In September 2003, a 22-year-old man from Gardenia, California died, and several other guests were injured when a locomotive separated from its train along the tunnel section of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Torres bled to death after suffering blunt force trauma to the chest. Okay, so this was not great. In 2003, there was a malfunction on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and this guy bled to death.
Okay.
So
well, there's the one thing we didn't talk about, but also it's not ride related, but it was a big hubbub in the news. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Down in Disney, I know we've been talking about Disneyland. So Disney World is where those parents had that kid near the water, and he was like fucking around in the water, and a gator came up and snapped him.
Yes. Fucking alligators. Yeah, that was terrible. That happened the week before I went to Disney World last time. Dude, we didn't go near any fucking water. We stayed clear.
Well, here's the thing.
Apparently, though, that kid was, I think, on a section of like the little beach area where you weren't supposed to be.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I firmly believe that an alligator in Disney is not going to come up and fuck with me if I don't go down there and fuck with it.
I don't know, man. Alligators are ruthless.
It's very much a don't start no shit, won't be no shit mentality when it comes to alligators. Like, hey, if I see an alligator, I'm going to walk the opposite way. I'm not going to walk closer to it. And guess what? I would like to think that if I were to outrun an alligator, I could. And I also don't think an alligator...
All right, listen.
I also
don't... natural athlete over here.
No, I'm not saying I'm a natural athlete. I think I probably could. I'd wrestle one to the ground. But I also don't think that an alligator is going to straight up sprint after me for
They can run pretty quick. They can run pretty quick.
They do run quick.
Back real quick. You don't really think that you could take an alligator, do you? Because they kill, like, deer and cows.
I could not take an alligator.
Okay, all right, good. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure this powerlifting thing wasn't getting to your head there, Jake.
No. I know that if I were to sprint away, you could
outmaneuver an alligator.
I could outmaneuver an alligator.
All right. I see what you're saying. I am gonna say I'll show you this after the podcast. This really doesn't lend itself well to audio format that we provide here. But I have a video. It's a YouTube video with a couple of these ghosts. One of them, there's one that shows Mr. One Way on it. And there's also one that shows a ghost walking through Disneyland, and it can be viewed from multiple angles on multiple security cameras. It's really fucking creepy. I mean, I know we kind of laughed off a bunch of these ghost things, but if there's any real shit, this is it, because I don't know how you explain what this is. I'm going to show it to you after we get off here, Jake. I'm also going to put, if you go to goosepimplspodcast.com, it's going to be in the show write-up. So if you want to check this video out, that's the way to do it. Maybe I'll tweet it out too. I'll get it out there. I'll make this video available.
Put it out in the universe. You know what I'm saying? People need to see this shit.
Yeah, for sure. All right, here's something a little less spooky. All right. You know how sometimes, like, good stories can also give you goosebumps? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, here's one. All right. So shortly after Disneyland was opened, Walt Disney returned to Griffith Park and purchased the bench that he was sitting on when he first sparked the idea for Disneyland.
Okay.
The bench is now located at the Opera House on Main Street. And some people say that Walt still takes a moment to sit there to this day. So I thought that was pretty cool that he actually went back and bought, like years later, bought the bench that he was sitting on when the idea popped in his head.
Tries to stay humble, realize where he comes, recognize where he came from and whatnot. Yeah, I appreciate that.
And you can go sit on that bench. It's still there. So.
I would sit on it and then,
fart.
I would literally fart so
all
hard
over that bench.
So fucking hard. Like, that's what you get, you child touching asshole.
Wait, did he touch childs or did he just hate Jews?
Are you kidding me? How could that man not touch children?
Oh, okay, allegedly.
Allegedly.
The Jew thing is real though. Allegedly. Hated
Yes.
the Jews. Allegedly.
Hates the Jews.
Allegedly. All right. So that's all I have, man. That's what I got on the Ghosts of Disneyland. I hope that people thought that was cool. I hope you thought that was cool. I think that it would be cool to also do this for different places, like ghosts of other locations.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
So maybe we'll touch base on this again.
We'll dabble.
We'll dabble a little bit. Also, I got some feedback from the Chris Benoit episode, and people seem to really like it. So thank you. If you reached out and
I had a couple people message me and tell me that it was their favorite episode and how they learned a lot that they didn't know outside of the fact that he just grisly murdered his family. But everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, also, like, it's fucking cool to hear back from people, and it's, if you have any, like, weird stories that you would like us to kind of look into and talk about on the show, you just get in touch with us. I mean, you can hit us up at
How dare you? Who is she, Paul? Who is she?
the Depths Podcast at gmail.com, or you can hit us at the Depthscast on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm disgusted right now.
It slipped.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna have a hard time getting over that. I'm in the doghouse, ladies and
you
gentlemen.
are in the doghouse, you piece of shit.
Yeah, we're never gonna talk about that again. It's in
Never.
the past, Jake. I don't love them like I love you.
Just look at me in my eyes. Anyhow,
What we have is real.
Paul is on Instagram at Breeden Nuclear,
Yes.
and I am Jake Lots on
Yes.
the gram. Feel free to hit us up with any comments or feedback like you've already been doing, which is great. Thank you for that. Like, subscribe, hit us with a rating, some sort of review, write something up. It'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome, man. Until next time, we're getting fucking close to Halloween, dude. This is gonna be fun.
Time to keep it real. Time to keep it spoopy.